My mom was born into a practicing Christian family. She spent most of her life in the church. She had a room in the church then where she passed the night when there is a program at church. At some point, she was the leader of the choir. My mom was very close to the head pastor, Mr. Brown. Pastor Brown liked my mom because of her energy in participating in church activities. My mom's church does not have a school at first, so whenever there is a program at church, as soon as my mom leaves school, she heads straight to church. After several consultations, the church decided to build a school for the children of its members. Before my mom graduated from junior secondary school, the school was completed. So, she decided to leave St. Chris High School and enroll in the school built in her church. The church named the School of Worship. The launching of the school was a memorable event. Dignitaries from all parts of the country attended the launch. Dignitaries were thrilled to melodious songs by my mom and other members of the choir group. My mom received a lot of gifts from the dignitaries because of her melodious voice. After the launch, my mom traveled to a church program alongside members of her choir group. They went to a program in Miami that had all churches in attendance. The program was designed as a competition between churches. The program was scheduled to last for 3 days because it had more than 50 churches in attendance. The program was designed to honor a Christian singer who died some weeks ago. On the day of the grand finale, 5 churches were left. The 4 churches were St. Augustine Church, the Parish of Worship, and House on the Rock Church, Praiseworthy Church, and my mom's church, the Church of Worship. The grand finale was shown live at various churches across the city. The show started with songs from the choirs of the various churches. My mom's church was scheduled to perform last. When the anchor called my mom's church on stage, the noise that emanated from the hall could not be quantified. Everybody in the hall was screaming. It took the intervention of the anchor before the noise stopped. My mom and her colleagues sang melodious songs. Everybody was on their feet clapping when my mom and her colleagues were walking off the stage. After the performance, the judges went into a closed-door meeting to select the winner of the competition. 1 hour after, the judges came back to the hall. The chief judge appreciated the churches that participated in the competition, especially those that made it to the final. He said they have all performed well, but it's unfortunate that there can only be one winner. He urged the church that will be announced as winners of the competition should be magnanimous in victory, while others should prepare for the next event because it will be held annually. The chief judge of the competition invited 2 dignitaries, Mr. Ryan Patrick and Mrs. Mariah Solomon, to the stage for the presentation of prizes to the winners. The chief judge told everybody to remain silent because the result is about to be announced. The chief judge said in the 5th position goes to St. Augustine Church. The announcement was met with a huge round of applause from the audience. The chief judge invited their lead choir to come and collect their prize. The lead choir joined Mr. Ryan Patrick and Mrs. Mariah Solomon on stage. She took a photograph with them and she was given her prize. Her colleagues were also invited to the podium to take photographs with the 2 dignitaries. The audience kept quiet in anticipation for the next announcement. The chief judge said the 4th position goes to the House on the Rock Church. They received a huge round of applause from the audience as they all walked to the podium to receive their prize. After receiving their prize, they took photographs with the dignitaries and the chief judge before they left the podium. The hall went silent again in anticipation of the next announcement. The chief judge said the 3rd position goes to the Parish of Worship Church. The announcement was met with a huge round of applause by the audience. The lead choir and her colleagues made their way to the podium to receive their prize. They were handed their prize after taking photographs with the dignitaries and the chief judge. At this point, 2 churches were still standing. The Praiseworthy Church and the Church of Worship, which is my mom's church. This time around, it was difficult to control the audience. Those that were for my mom's church were screaming her name, while those that were for the Praiseworthy Church were also screaming. It took several pleas from the chief judge and the dignitaries to silence the audience. The chief judge said if they do not keep quiet, there is no way he can announce the winners of the competition. After several pleas, everybody kept quiet in anticipation of the announcement of the chief judge. The chief judge said there will be a slight change in the announcement. He said he has been announcing the result in descending order, but he will like to change the order of the announcement. He said instead of announcing the 2nd position, he will move to the 1st position. He said what that means is that any name he mentions now is the winner. He said the remaining church is automatically the 2nd position. The chief judge kept teasing the audience. Some of them could not sit. Some covered their eyes. The chief judge said the 1st position goes to the Church of Worship. The hall erupted. Even my mom's church back home erupted. The noise was out of this world. It was uncontrollable. The prize for the church in the 2nd position was handed to them before my mom and her colleagues were called to the podium to come and receive their prizes. After receiving their prize, they took photographs with the dignitaries and the audience. The next day, they traveled back home. They were welcomed by a very huge crowd. They were hosted in the church's auditorium. A lot of people in the neighborhood who were not members of their church came to celebrate with them. At the event, the head pastor announced that everybody that participated in the competition will get an all-expense-paid trip to Spain to watch the El Clasico. The announcement received a huge round of applause from the audience. The El Clasico is unarguably the biggest derby in world football. It features the best football players from across the world. The El Clasico features players like Lionel Messi, who is arguably the best player in the world, Cristiano Ronaldo, who is also argued to be the best player in the world, Neymar, Dani Alves, Xavi Hernandez, Andres Iniesta, Luka Modric, Daniel Carvajal, Sergio Ramos, Marcelo, Jordi Alba, Gerard Pique, Carles Puyol, Sergio Busquets, Toni Kroos, Angel Di Maria, Gareth Bale, and many other big players. My mom said she has never traveled to Spain before, so it came as a huge gift for her. 5 hours after the event, the head pastor reached out to the members that their flight is on Tuesday. All the members of the choir left the church on Monday and returned to their houses to prepare for their trip to Spain on Tuesday. When my mom got home, she did her laundry. After she finished her laundry, she packed her clothes into her bag. My mom came to the sitting room and sat down. She put on the television and started watching. While she was watching, she was anticipating her trip to Spain. She was anticipating how she will see Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, who are adjudged to be the best players on the continent. She was happy that she will see people she used to see on television in a live stadium. She sat in the sitting room until her dad arrived. When he arrived, he went to his room and changed his cloth. He later joined my mom in the sitting room. My mom told him about the preparation for her trip. While they were talking, my mom received a text message from the senior pastor that they should all meet at the church at 7 a.m. because their plane will leave by 8:30 a.m. As soon as my mom saw the message, she showed my dad. She pleaded with my dad to drop her at the church the next morning before he goes to work. Her dad agreed. The next day, my mom took her bath as early as 6 a.m. By 6:30 a.m., she was sitting in the sitting room with her bag. My head came out of his room at exactly 6:35 and they drove off to church. Her dad dropped her at the church gate at exactly 6:50 a.m. while he drove to his office. My mom entered the church and joined her colleagues who were already waiting for her at the church's auditorium. At exactly 7 a.m., they left the church to the airport. They got to the airport at exactly 8 a.m. They went to the restaurant to have breakfast while they wait to board their flight. At exactly 8:20 a.m., they boarded their flight and the plane took off at exactly 8:30 a.m. They had a lot of fun on the plane. The journey was inspiring and they entertained other passengers with their melodious songs. The plane landed in Spain at exactly 11:30 a.m. As soon as they landed at the airport in Spain, they entered into a bus that was already waiting for them. The bus conveyed them to their hotel. When they got to their hotel, they were all given different rooms. The city of Spain was buzzing in anticipation of the El Clasico. Their hotel was in Barcelona, so they met a lot of Barcelona fans. The next day, they were taken to the iconic Camp Nou stadium. They were taken through all the facilities in the stadium. After that, we went to the training pitch where the Barcelona players were preparing for the big match on Sunday. After they watched the training, they went to a nearby restaurant to have a meal. We went around the city until late in the evening before we returned to our hotel. The next day, we were taken to the iconic Santiago Bernabéu Stadium. The stadium has witnessed a lot of Champions League and European Cup finals. Their first point of call when we arrived at the stadium was the trophy cabinet. They saw different types of trophies which include the Champions League, the La Liga, the European Cup, the Club World Cup, and the Copa del Rey. When we left the trophy cabinet, we were taken to the women's football team training pitch. We watched the women train. When they finished their training, they took pictures with all the players. From there, we went to the men's training pitch. The men's training pitch was filled. All the fans wanted to have a feel of the training before the players leave for Barcelona. After the training, fans were allowed to take photographs with the players. They waited until every fan took pictures before we took ours. They got a signed jersey from Sergio Ramos, who is the captain of Real Madrid. They left the training pitch and headed straight to the Madrid restaurant to have our lunch. They ate different types of food. We all ate to our satisfaction. After the meal, they went around the neighborhood. At exactly 6 p.m., they gathered at our car park and drove back to our hotel. As soon as they got to our hotel, they all went to our respective rooms and slept off because we were all tired. The next day, they didn't go out at all. We stayed in our hotel all through because we had a guest. Their guest was the lead singer of the biggest church in Spain. They had a good time with him. He thrilled them to a lot of melodious tunes alongside his band members. After the songs, they were allowed to ask him questions. He answered all their questions before he left. On Sunday, they all woke up very early. It was the D-Day. They were very happy because it was what they came to Spain for. The match was slated for 4 p.m., but they were told to leave their hotel as early as 11 a.m. because of the crowd that will be on the streets and the crowd outside the stadium. By 8 a.m., they had all taken their baths. They were served breakfast at exactly 9 a.m. They sat in their hotel room waiting for the bus that will convey them to the stadium to arrive. At exactly 11 a.m., their bus arrived. They all left their hotel room and entered the bus. The bus left the hotel at exactly 11:05 a.m. They didn't arrive at the stadium until 1 p.m. A ride of 30 minutes lasted for almost 2 hours. When they got to the stadium, they met another huge crowd trying to gain access to the stadium. The 4 gates that entered the stadium had a long queue. At going back and forth, they settled for one. They all queued at the second gate. The queue kept moving slowly until it got to them at around 3 p.m. When they gained access into the stadium, the players were already on the pitch doing their pre-match warm-up. Because of the crowd, they were advised to seat close to one another so that they wouldn't have to be looking for anybody after the match. At exactly 4 p.m., the players walked onto the pitch. The Barcelona players sang their club's anthem, which was followed by Real Madrid's club anthem. After the anthems of both clubs, the referee invited the captains of both clubs to the center circle. He asked them to choose each side of a coin so that he can decide which position each team will take and which team will pass the ball first. After the tossing of the coin, Barcelona was to pass the ball first. The 2 captains left the referee and joined their teammates for a photo session. After the photo session, the players of each team went round the stadium to appreciate their fans. The match started at exactly 4:10 p.m. The first 20 minutes was all about Real Madrid. From where they were sitting, they could hear the noise of the away fans. 30 minutes into the match, Lionel Messi received a pass from Xavi Hernandez. He was through on goal before he was fouled by Real Madrid's captain Sergio Ramos. Sergio Ramos got a yellow card while Barcelona got a free kick right in front of Real Madrid's box. As soon as Lionel Messi stood behind the free kick, the away stand became silent. Barcelona fans regained their lost voice. After Lionel Messi positioned the ball, the referee blew his whistle. As Lionel Messi took the free kick, it landed in the Madrid net. The stadium erupted in jubilation. Barcelona fans took over the stadium. After 45 minutes, the referee blew the whistle for the end of the first half. As soon as the players went into the dressing room, Chris Brown mounted the stage. He thrilled the fans for 15 minutes before the players made their way back onto the pitch. At exactly 5:05 p.m., the referee blew the whistle for the commencement of the second half. The second started with Madrid on top as they did in the first half. They were playing very well, but they couldn't get a goal. 60 minutes into the match, Barcelona Football Club got a penalty against the run of play. Once again, Lionel Messi stood behind the ball. As soon as the referee blew his whistle, Lionel Messi kicked the penalty and it landed in Madrid's net. At that point, it looked like all hope was lost for Madrid until they got a penalty in the 80th minute. Cristiano Ronaldo took the ball and placed it on the penalty spot. As soon as the referee blew his whistle, Cristiano Ronaldo kicked the ball and it landed in Barcelona's football club's net. Madrid continued to search for the equalizer, which made them commit a lot of players forward. In the 89th minute, Real Madrid Football Club got a corner kick. All their players went forward, including the goalkeeper. As soon as the corner kick was taken, it fell in the hand of the Barcelona Football Club goalkeeper. As soon as he caught the ball, he kicked it to Lionel Messi, who was standing alone in Real Madrid Football Club's half. As soon as the ball landed on his feet, he kicked it into an empty net, which gave Barcelona Football Club 3-1 advantage. Real Madrid Football Club players took the ball to the center pitch and restarted the game. 30 seconds after they restarted the game, the referee blew his whistle for the end of the game. Barcelona Football Club supporters continued their celebration while Real Madrid fans exited the stadium. My mom and her colleagues watched the celebration before they were called. They left the stadium at 7 p.m. It was difficult for cars to get access to the roads because of the number of people on the road. They struggled with people on the road before they finally arrived at their hotel at 9:30 p.m. As soon as they came down from the bus, everyone went to their hotel rooms. The tiredness was on everyone's face. There was no time for any chat. They all entered their room and slept off. The next day, most of them didn't wake up early. They were supposed to leave the next day, but they couldn't because most of them were not prepared. Fortunately for them, their visa and tickets were not ready. Most of them spent the day doing laundry and packing their clothes into their bags. Around 8 p.m., their visa and tickets were brought to them. According to their tickets, their flight was scheduled for 10 a.m. the next day. As soon as they received their tickets, they contacted the driver of the bus that has been taking them around the city since they arrived. They told the driver to come to the hotel as early as 7:30 a.m. to pick them. There were no time for a chat that night because everybody went to bed early in anticipation of the next day's trip. The next day, they all woke up when the alarm ranged at 5:30 a.m. They all took their baths and sat in their rooms waiting for the arrival of the bus driver. The bus driver arrived at exactly 7:25 a.m. As soon as he arrived, they entered the bus and left for the airport. They arrived at the airport at exactly 8 a.m. They went to the restaurant to eat breakfast because they did not eat before they left the hotel. At exactly 9:45 a.m., they all boarded the flight. The plane left Spain at exactly 10 a.m. and landed in the United States of America at exactly 1 p.m. As soon as they landed in the United States of America, they all went to the church to appreciate the head pastor. The head pastor was very happy to see them. He asked them about their short stay in Spain. They told him everything that happened in Spain. They told him about the culture, food, and the people of Spain. They told him about the El Clasico too. They said since they were born, they have never seen a football match like the El Clasico. The head pastor said he deliberately chose Spain for them because he knew they will enjoy their stay in Spain. He told them about his visit to Spain for the first time. He said his first visit to Spain was during the El Clasico and he enjoyed it. He said since then, he has only missed the El Clasico twice. He urged them to keep up the good work that earned them the visit to Spain. He promised them another big prize if they represent the church very well in the next competition. They all thanked the head pastor and they all left for their homes. When my mom got home, she was welcomed by everyone in the neighborhood. She received a lot of gifts from people for her outstanding performance at the competition. My mom went to bed as early as 8 p.m. that day because she was tired. The next day, my mom woke up very late. When she woke up, she did her laundry in preparation for school on Monday. The next Monday, my mom resumed at our church's school. All students gathered at the assembly ground at exactly 7:30. They sang worship songs, the national anthem. The head pastor himself was on the assembly ground. He taught students the school anthem that he composed. After that, he addressed all students on the assembly ground. He urged them to take their academics seriously. He said he wants them to make the school and their parents proud. After addressing them, he told them to walk to their classes. When they got to their class, the head pastor went round the classes to introduce the new teachers to the students. After the introduction, normal school activities commenced. While lectures were going on, my mom took permission from her class teacher to visit the toilet. While she was walking to the toilet, she came in contact with the head pastor who was going around the school to monitor all activities. The head pastor asked my mom what she was doing outside. She told him that she took permission from her class teacher before she went out. While my mom was walking to the toilet, the head pastor could not take his eyes off her ass. My mom had a very big ass which was admired by a lot of men. The head pastor waited for my mom. When she was returning to her class, he called her. He said when she gets to class, she should inform her class teacher that she was summoned by him. He said as soon as she delivers the message to her class teacher, she should come straight to his office. The head pastor did that to avoid suspicion. When my mom got to her class, she delivered the message to her class teacher. Since it was the head pastor, her class teacher had nothing to say. My mom left her class and made her way to the head pastor's office. When she got to the door, she knocked. The head pastor asked who was at the door. My mom replied. As soon as he heard my mom's voice, he told her to come inside. When my mom opened the door, she met the head pastor sitting on his chair. She stood close to his table waiting to hear what she wants to say. The head pastor didn't want to see her standing, therefore, he told her to sit. As soon as my mom sat, the head pastor started talking. He told my mom that what he is about to tell her might surprise her, but it is how he feels. He said he knows she won't expect what he wants to stay from someone like him, but he cannot keep it to himself anymore. The head pastor said he has been admiring my mom since she was very young. He said he is happy to see her grow and become the woman that she is now. He said the summary of what he wants to tell her is that he loves her. My mom was shocked. It wasn't something she was expecting from him. My mom said he has a wife. What does he want to do about his wife? The pastor said he is not divorcing his wife and he is not marrying my mom. He just wants them to be very close. While the head pastor was talking, he stood up from his seat and went very close to my mom. He kept staring at her boobs because she had a loose button. The boobs were inviting. Suddenly, he dipped his hands in my mother's shirt and pressed her boobs. At first, my mother was trying to resist, but when the pressing continued, she didn't know when she started moaning softly. The head pastor continued. He continued pressing her boobs while he was kissing her in her mouth. After some minutes, he removed my mom's shirt completely. He had sex with my mom in his office. They stopped when they heard the bell. My mom and the head pastor continued to have sex in school until my mom graduated. Even after her graduation, they were still having sex. When my mom got admission into college, the head pastor usually sneak out of the church to go and have sex with my mom in her school. All this was going on and nobody knew. 2 years after my mom left college, she got married. The head pastor was the presiding pastor on the wedding day. He said a lot of things about having sex outside marriage. His sermon attracted a huge round of applause from the crowd that was present at the wedding. After my mom got married, she was still having sex with the head pastor. It was easy for her to leave the house to go and meet the head pastor because of her position in the church. Whenever she tells my dad that she has a church program, he doesn't stop her. He knew her very well before he married her. He knew she doesn't joke with church activities. A year after my mom's wedding, she got pregnant. At the early stage of the pregnancy, she was still having sex with the head pastor. But when the pregnancy got to an advanced stage, they stopped having sex. 9 months after, my mom gave birth to me. Once again, the head pastor was the presiding pastor on the day of my naming ceremony. He congratulated my mom and urged others to emulate my mom. He praised her commitment to the activities of the church. 2 years after, I joined the school in our church. My mom used to drive me to school so that she could see the head pastor. Even when my mother gave birth, she didn't stop having sex with the head pastor. The most interesting thing is that they were having sex for years and nobody knew. Nobody ever suspected them. Everybody taught my mom was always in the church because of church programs. While I was preparing for my final exam, my mom was coming to school regularly because the church had an end-of-the-year event. The head pastor chose a 30-member committee which my mom was the chairman. Because of her position, she was always in church. When I come out of my class, I used to see my mom in the school compound. I will see her doing one thing or another. When I see her on most occasions, I usually scream her name from afar, and she will wave at me. Most times, she doesn't have time to talk to me because she is doing one thing or another. One day, the school closed very early because we were told to go home and prepare for our test. When I came out of my class, I searched for my mom everywhere around the church premises, but I didn't see her. I went to the room that was given to her by the church, but I didn't see her. When I searched for her everywhere and I didn't see her, I sat on a chair waiting for her to appear. 20 minutes after, my mom was still nowhere to be found. While I was sitting on the chair, I saw one of the workers in the church. She asked me while I was sitting there lonely when every student has gone home. I told her my mom was supposed to take me home, but I can't find her. I told her that I have searched everywhere in the church, but she is nowhere to be found. The woman said it seems she saw her walking to the head pastor's office. She asked me whether I have checked her at the head pastor's office. I said I haven't. She said since I should check her in the head pastor's office. I appreciated the woman while I made my way to the head pastor's office. About 5 steps to the pastor's office, I started hearing my mom's voice. She was laughing heavily. I didn't know what could be happening in the pastor's office that would warrant such a laugh. When I got to the door, I started ta-ta-ta-ta like someone was clapping. I wondered what could be happening. The sound continued for minutes. I wanted to know what was happening in the room. I went to the back of the office and piped through the window. I was shocked by what I saw. I saw the head pastor and my mom having serious sex. You could see in their faces how they were enjoying it. After I watched to my satisfaction, I went back to the door and knocked. As soon as they hear the knock, they stopped. They asked who was at the gate. I replied. When they heard my voice, they were shocked. They quickly dressed up and opened the door. My mom asked me why I came to the head pastor's office. I said I have been looking for her since the school closed but I didn't see her. I said it was one of the workers that said I should check for her at the head pastor's office. My mom was not sure if I saw what happened or not. She was moody till we got home. Hey, guys, please let me know if this is right or if this is what I should do, or please let me have your thoughts on this.